And on this day, the Thought Buffet opened its doors to talk about a faction that has closed its doors from the rest of society to, instead of really broadcasting a message of God's love, instead opts for a message of God's hate. And no, we're not talking about anti-Christian music. We're not talking about black metal, satanic themed music. No, instead, we are talking about the bane of the existence here in the United States of America, the group that probably has more hate associated with it, perhaps the most hated group since the Ku Klux Klan, the Westboro Baptist Church. Now let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, at least with the KKK, there is good reason for the widespread hate, considering there were so many of them. They have a very large membership. But with the case of the Westboro Baptist Church, this is a membership of 40. And it is principally one man's large extended family, where if you leave the church, you are excommunicated not only from the church, but also from the family. I really need not introduce this group, mainly because their introduction has been on the media splash for the past decade or so. These are people who protest funerals, who protest high-profile murderous events, such as Sandy Hook, which they were not able to take part in because of Anonymous. They've released statements praising the bombings that have taken place in Boston, the tsunamis that have taken place, natural disasters, and events such as the Sago mine disaster. And I'm going to start right there because I myself have had an encounter with the Westboro Baptist Church. A little history about me is that in 2006, whenever the Sago mine disaster occurred in Upshur County, West Virginia, I attended West Virginia Wesleyan College, which is also in Upshur County, West Virginia, in the town of Buchanan. There was a service that was given for those who had been killed. The 12 that died, that perished inside that mine, that was delivered at the chapel at West Virginia Wesleyan College, and the Westboro Baptist Church made their presence felt. They traveled for this, and they picketed. They picketed in one of the corridors right across the street from where the chapel was. There were large picket signs. There was an assembly of them. There was a sniper on the roof of the Lohr Music Hall. A sniper that I was able to see with my eyeballs as I walked from the dining hall to my dorm room. A sniper that was not watching me, it was obviously watching the events that were surrounding the protesters. That was my first encounter with the Westboro Baptist Church, and I found that to be absolutely deplorable and despicable. And I'm actually very happy and very satisfied knowing now what I do, that nobody from West Virginia Wesleyan College really laid a finger on them, spat on them, or did anything negative. Principally because that's how they fund their hate. They fund their hate not only from raising funds within their congregation, but also from lawsuits that they have won. Lawsuits that they have levied against other people, considering they do have a law background. This is how they are able to fund the trips they spend on upwards to $200,000 yearly, attending these events to protest them, displaying their message of God hates fags, or thank God for bombs, or thank God for dead soldiers. They're able to fund their message of hate principally due to actions that are taken against them, not to mention the lawsuits that they have themselves brought up against such things such as the city of Topeka, Kansas. Now, this is a group where the only way, really, to get through them or to get past them is to simply ignore them. This is a group that's not worth your time. There are 40 individuals that are at the widest corner of right field that basically don't have a grain of sense in the world. They claim to be preaching a message directly from God, which reminds me very much of a cult. It'd be, very typical for me to say, hey, how about you guys mix up some Kool-Aid with cyanide and have yourselves a little Hail Bob hoedown? It would suffice it for me to say, that they should travel and move somewhere to the promised land, a land of purity. And whenever people finally were onto them there, once again, drink the magic liqueur of death. However, I will not say that. I will not. Because here is the greatest part about the Westboro Baptist Church protesting these events. And as the counter-protests, the creative ways in which people have been able to counter-protest the Westboro Baptist Church. See, this is truly our Constitution in action. They themselves are able to get through because they are able to use their constitutional rights, and other people are able to do the same by counter-protesting the protests that they levy. Whether it be people that are either gay or lesbian, that are in embrace or kissing, whether it be the Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl dressing up in very homoerotic outfits and denouncing the message, whether it be the Phelps-a-thon, these are all things that can happen. But this is what I am going to say. This is the message that I have. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not a God-believing person, and this is something that many of you know, especially if you have kept track of the channel over the course of the past couple of years. I have denounced a lot of things. I have actually exposed a lot of those who happen to be obsessed with God, as I would say. Those people who decide to take their message, their divinity in faith, to an extreme level. And yes, Westboro Baptist Church, you are just another one of those, another group that just so happens to take things to the extreme. Well, your extremism is actually not terrorism whatsoever. What you do isn't spreading a message of hate. It's not even spreading a message of God. It's spreading a message of 40 individuals that obviously have a very warped sense of mind. That obviously believe that in your sick, twisted, sad world, that there is absolutely no spot for those that you find to be offensive to that which you preach. Now I understand that this draws a lot of comparisons to Christianity, to Catholicism, and to any known or organized religion of the world. However, here's the difference. Whereas those individuals are able to preach a message that also involves some good morals, that also is able to teach individuals how to live properly in order to spread a message on how to be a better human being. All that you do is teach people to be dirty individuals. You teach people to be ugly individuals. You teach people that it is okay to hate simply because you hate them, because you're not them. You have something so direly wrong with homosexuality. You have something so direly wrong with the military. You believe that all of these things, these killings that occur, are a message from God. It's God's plan because of America's fag-loving culture. I really think you need to reevaluate something. 40 members of your family? I'm supposing there's a bit of inbreeding going on in there. And if not, then there's definitely something that can be said about your sick family, Fred. Because your sick family, which seems to stream around you, your sick family, which you've seemingly been able to brainwash into this facetious belief of bullshit, this lie, this destructive doctrine of dumbassery. It's nothing short of astounding. You are actually showcasing a level of human stupidity that makes people who type using 4 and 2, the numbers, as opposed to the actual words, you're making them look like geniuses. You're making people who speak in slang on the internet look like geniuses. You're making people who walk around town with clear deficiencies look like geniuses. You are making George W. Bush, a man who I have also denounced, a man who I have also said to be not exactly a very intelligent man, look like Albert fucking Einstein. Now yes, you are expressing your constitutional right, your freedom of speech, your freedom, and that does extend for as far as you can walk in front of these events. But I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, I would be downright pleased to see what would happen, to see what would occur if an act of terrorism, and not just cyber terrorism, not just Anonymous or the Jester, we're talking an act of downright terror, would occur within your walls while you guys are in there. I would like to see the reaction. I would like to see if there would be an outcry and an outreach for help. That you would extend your hand. Help us! Help us! If, say, a bomb went off. If somebody came in wielding a gun. If somebody just decided to end your terrible message by ending you. Is this in any way a threat? Absolutely not. Not from me, at least. But that's the thing. Compared to some other people in the society, I'm relatively sane. You should consider that. You should think about it. The Westboro Baptist Church, I'm sure, will continue, nation, to spread its message of hate to anybody who is willing to hear it. And that's the funny thing. Nobody really wants to hear it. They're more of a nuisance, more of an insect than anything else. They're more of just a public display of egotistical, immature idiocy than a true movement. Now there are some of you out there, I'm sure, that are not necessarily supportive of the rights of those who are homosexual, those who are lesbian, those who are bisexual. But I know that even you guys, can't get behind the Westboro Baptist Church. These guys are a cancer who are only looking for a group to hot-button hate. That is the reason why they're not worth your time. That is the reason why it is one of those cases where if you ignore them, they might not necessarily stop what they're doing. But if you ignore them, they're meaningless. Now I understand that I'm bringing them a lot more attention through this video, which kind of makes me a hypocrite. However, this message does need to be delivered. This message does need to be said. God doesn't hate fags. God doesn't hate soldiers. He doesn't hate homosexuals, lesbians. He doesn't hate Islam. In fact, God, if he truly exists, he doesn't hate anybody. Considering if what is preached is correct, we are all made in his image. Including you, Fred. However, if God does truly have a sense about him, if God is free and conscious to make his own choices, as we are, if God has divine free will, God doesn't hate fags. God doesn't hate soldiers. God would hate the Westboro Baptist Church for using his name in a message of pure hate. His name, or a message that basically is attempting to destroy harmony. In fact, he may not even hate you. Because let's face it, the only thing that you've been able to garner for yourself is media attention and the fact that all of us think that you are a fucking moron. God may not even waste his time on a little piece of vermin like you. He may just allow you to exist, ignore you, and move on. The thought buffet once again has served up a hearty slice of reality. However, the thought buffet would never open its doors to the Westboro Baptist Church. Principally because we would protest their very presence anywhere close to where we are. In fact, their very existence is protestable. Perhaps that is the protest that should be taken to the streets of Topeka, Kansas. Perhaps that is the protest that needs to be seen nationwide. And perhaps that is the protest that will lead to its end.